When we picked up the Derya Arms DY9, many of you asked about the Beretta 92 based gun, the Melik. Well, Derya agreed with you and wanted to send one out, so they told Rock Island, and we've got one here. Tabletop review and field strip coming up next on GBGuns. This is another ultra affordable alternative that really amazes me. Being produced in Turkey, contracted through or purchased by Rock Island, who's out of the Philippines, brought to the US, then sent to distributors and retailers and sold. In the box, we've got our manual. We have bore brush and cleaning rod, the pistol, of course, with a reusable chamber flag, and then up top we have the single magazine. Again, it's a bummer that only comes with one magazine. However, it's also kind of a plus in that it keeps price down, and since Beretta 92 mags are very widely available, shouldn't have any trouble finding one. Now, we'll take a look at the manual and see if there's anything specific we need to know. Those familiar with the channel know that I value manuals and that I see how well they're written as an example of how well a company cares about you and how much they want you to understand the product. In flipping through this, I did not see anything about plus P ammunition other than the fact that, and there's a typo in here, it says, no, sorry, that's not a typo, 19mm chamber is, and it's 19mm long. It says the every firearm has passed durability tests with special high-pressure cartridges. I'm assuming they're saying proof loads, or implying that. They do not mention anything about plus P in here. However, plus P is used to compensate for a barrel under 4 inches in 9mm, and since this is nearly 5 inches, we have no need for plus P. There's your specs, but you can also check the pinned comment to see all that over there. Manual is full color, which is really nice. It gives you a very detailed breakdown of the parts, listing them all and showing them all. However, it keeps the disassembly and all that kind of stuff down to the basics. Otherwise, it's a pretty clean and short and sweet manual. Now let's take a look at the gun. The Melik, sorry, I don't know the pronunciation. I don't speak Turkish, but M-E-L-I-K, are available in a variety of finishes. I went with the two-tone with the dark wood grips because I wanted something a little bit different. I spent 15 years in the Army during the service of the M9. Came to not like the platform there, however, have since come to learn it wasn't the platform, it was just poor Army training and beat up old guns. It's actually a pretty nice pistol once you learn pistols. This is based on the 92, obviously. The frame is aluminum and all steel parts are melanited, which is kind of a nice touch. Oftentimes, especially in these imports, we see Cerakote, which looks great until it starts to get roughed up. Cerakote, when applied in the most pristine manner, is excellent. However, very few folks do that and you end up with a mess. So we'll start off, as always, lock on the side of the rear. Do we have magazine ejection or release? This is the included 17-round magazine. And we have a little bit of ejection, which is great. And it should come out fairly easily because we've got metal-to-metal sliding. Witness windows on the back at your major indicative levels, 17, 15, 10, 5, empty. Not too bad. And we'll take a look at the gun. Starting up front, we've got the protruding barrel, classic of the Beretta 92. All of the lines are basically a 92 FS, as one would expect. We do not have rail space, but a nice slim dust cover. There is texturing on the front of the trigger guard there. A round trigger guard, not flat. For those who are unfamiliar with older DASA designs, that's because this is a double action. That safety, if I leave it down, gives me a dead trigger. If I swipe it back up, this gives you a double action first shot. We'll do trigger talk here since we're already here. Very smooth. Don't get me wrong, this isn't like a Langdon trigger job smooth, but this is a nice double action. It's even a little stageable. It can be learned. The single action, we have light take up to a wall. Nice crispy break. Our reset brings us back to that wall, not in front of it. Yeah, that's a nice trigger. This could be a nice one to shoot. Alright, back onto our fit, finish, and features. We have the vertical serrations on the front strap. I'm sure you guys are tired of hearing me say it. I'm tired of saying it myself. Front strap and back strap serrations should be horizontal. The gun is trying to rock this way. When the serrations are vertical, that helps with swimming. That helps keep the gun from shifting left and right, which the gun is not trying to do while firing. It's trying to move this direction, so it needs to be horizontal. But I understand that is classic and the standard. No magazine well, no flaring. We've got a little bit on the toe, a little bit on the back. That's very classic. It's basically how it was. We even have the lanyard loop. You can see our slide serration, or frame serrations on the back there. Slide to frame fit. We've got some side to side. We've got some vertical. There's a little bit of play there. That's not a concern for accuracy because the sights are attached and they're going to move with it. A little bit of play allows for some grit and stuff to get in the gun and have it still operate. It being tighter does feel nicer when you rack it. So take of that what you will. If you're not familiar with the Beretta 92 design, this open top slide is great because as you saw when I locked the slide to the rear, there's almost no excuse for ejection to happen. So long as that brass has any velocity when it hits the ejector, it's going to fall out one way or another. That's one of the things that added to the reliability of the 92s. Now, early 92s in service had problems with their locking block cracking after a certain amount of rounds and some other parts cracking. That was fixed by Beretta. Is it fixed on this? I would like to think that they copied a slightly newer design or did their own metallurgy, learn lessons. Also know that those broken pieces in the Army, at least from what I heard, was happening around like 10 to 20,000 round point, which, especially on a gun this affordable, if you can afford to shoot that much ammo to break the thing, you can probably afford to replace the part yourself. So I'm not too concerned about it. Coming around the other side of the gun, we've got no controls over here other than a slightly smaller safety lever, and I do like the shape and size of this safety. It's a pretty good size, easy to hit. There were complaints by service members about having slide-mounted safety decockers because if you were sloppy or quick and in a hurry or hand slipped while racking the gun, you could potentially, I don't know how, I guess if it was already a little bit out of alignment while you racked, you could switch it down like that. Then it decocks, and since there's no spring release, it stays there and you've got a dead gun. If you're coming straight at it, it's not going to happen if it's at the 90 degrees. It's just something to be aware of. The rear sight is dovetailed. The front sight, however, is attached, so you're not going to be replacing the sights on this. So this is likely to be either a day-only carry or an enjoyable range gun. Next, we'll field strip the Melik and take a look inside the gun. Field stripping is a little bit different, and for those of you that watched any 80s, 90s action movies and saw the guy reach across and strip the gun with one quick movement, that's not going to happen, at least with this example. This lever is stiff. So we have this button here that's spring-loaded. That needs to be depressed to rotate the takedown lever. And that part right there, you saw the spring came forward, or the slide came forward and comes right off. That's how the action movie move was done. The guy would reach over, push the button, and swipe with his thumb and just pull the slide right off and disable the gun. This is a very stiff lever on here. I don't know if that's because it's new or if it's just the way this is set up, but no action movie reaching across slide stripping with this gun. All right, now onto the frame, and I was curious about this because there were comments and reports of one that looked like it had a terrible dremeling done in this portion. It was all shiny on a black gun. Now it's shiny on this one as well because it's got this kind of tumble finish and anodizing on it. But I don't see any evidence of any Dremel marks. This was a media sample sent to me, but in seeing this and the way that shine looks at that angle, it makes me wonder if the gentleman who posted a video saying it had been ground, maybe just they didn't coat that part. Imagine if the rest of the frame was black and just that area in there was shiny, it would look like it had been rubbed off. So I don't know. I haven't taken a closer look. I'm not meaning to discredit that video, just calling into question that that's a potential answer there. But you can see inside of our frame, I believe this should take 92 style grips without issue. It looks like everything's in the same position. Sometimes screws are in a slightly different spot, but I like these grips. I have here an LTT Elite. Yeah, it looks about the same spot. Sorry, I didn't realize I was still zoomed in so much. Maybe slightly different. I'd have to try after the fact to see if they'll fit. I guess Tactikitty doesn't want me to mess with these grips. So there's our frame. To strip up here, we're going to add some pressure to remove the spring and guide rod, steel guide rod, non-captured spring, which is great so that you can tune it to the load you want to. Try out different springs. Then to get the locking block out, and this is a Walther design, I believe, originally. I'm going to push on this little tail nub here, that pops up, and then we can shift the barrel forward and out. And this is actually a removable piece if you fidget with it enough. You can see we've got a nice polished feed ramp there. Some good angles on there. And next we'll check for chamber fit. Now, chamber fitment is just a general idea. However, we have twice now on this channel caught guns that had a chamber issue before we got to the range. Doing that with some Liberty Ammunition Civil Defense. This nickel plating is great corrosion resistance for a round that I'm going to handle all the time. It's also a friction reducer. When we drop this in, we listen for a plunk like that. We want to see if the round can rotate freely, and it can very nicely. And then you're looking to see how much brass is exposed beyond the shoulder and just a tiny bit underneath, as one would expect on the 92 design, but otherwise a nicely supported chamber. That's important because should you have a case rupture, if it's not fully supported, those gases are going to be forced back into your hands. Now, as I reassemble the pistol by reversing the way I took it apart, I'll tell you about what you'll see in the range video. You'll get absolute first shots through the gun. No preps, no warm-ups, no highlight reel type stuff. Nope, the first time I fire this gun will be on camera. That'll be recorded. You'll get my reaction. This one will be kind of interesting because I am a 15-year veteran of active duty Army service, so I spent a lot of time with the M9. I've also reviewed a LTT Elite, and I've reviewed another Turkish 92-ish gun some years back, so this will be kind of a fourth experience with this design for me. We'll do full magazine plus one, see how the gun runs fully stuffed, try out some other Beretta 92 pattern mags to make sure those are going to work, take it over to the What's for Dinner table for our trademark test, putting 10 additional loads through the gun to see what it eats and runs on. Take it to the spinner for sights and trigger control. This trigger feels pretty nice. These sights are pretty obvious, and with a 4.9-inch barrel, we should get lots of energy, so that should be fun on the spinner. Then some practical accuracy, 5 shots from 7 yards before giving you concluding thoughts. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you for suggesting I check out Derya Arms on the DY9, because that's what's led us to this pistol now. As with almost all of my videos, for full details, specs, pricing, sources, the deeper dive, check the pinned comment over at my website, which YouTube doesn't want me talking about anymore. That's where I post my real reviews, censorship free. If you want to avoid getting blocked by YouTube or unsubscribed or any of that stuff and still know what's going on, sign up for our mailing list. It is only used to let you know when reviews come out. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you on the range.